and everybody went live after the Super Bowl. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Man Tomorrow here. I want to thank you guys for coming through. We're just here to just clear up the the record since we have old, useless men who've revealed that they don't actually want any progress for men at all to go around lying about the actual track record of a space that he's definitely not trying to bring any value to. So I want to bring on Complex Design. What's going on, man?
MOT, what it do, big homie?
Chilling out, man. How's it been going lately, man?
Man, getting ready for this micromobility season, man. We're about to hit spring here. We clipped 75 degrees last week, so that's a good sign that, we should more than likely have an early spring. So, yeah, man, this is just what we've been kind of preparing for here. Wish you would have been able to get started like late summer, early fall last year. That would have gave us a few months of good weather, but we just had to kind of get through December and January, with the rain and the cold weather and stuff like that. So just working through it, man.
Yeah, it's been weird like that all over the country too, especially from like the I guess you could call it the traditional transportation side.
Yeah.
Stuff hasn't really slowed down like I expected things to slow down. After the Chinese New Year and after the what do you call it, Chinese New Year and the slowdown after the holiday season, but it
Hmm.
just didn't slow down. Even though they have a ton of inventory on hand, most of it they didn't sell, and people are still moving stuff all over the country. This is
Yeah.
home where I helped start the farm season by moving fertilizer, but
Hmm.
for some reason they don't need any, and I don't understand that either.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because normally like from now until like April is moving fertilizer. Like during the COVID thing, it was I wouldn't say illegal, but it was impossible to get fertilizer all over the country.
Right.
The doing was mostly fertilizer because when the country goes down, you have to keep the farms going. So you have no contracts with the military, and that's pretty much all I was doing.
Right. I mean, are
So
we looking at maybe like shut down the farming operations or something like that, or?
no, I'm never gonna do that. I didn't even
No,
know.
I'm just saying, like, if you have farming operations shutting down or something, maybe there's like the decrease in demand for fertilizers, or I'm just throwing quite because
I
that's
don't
that's
understand why
interesting,
there's like a decreased demand in fertilizer because
right?
normally, especially starting in like April, is when I hit up like the Dakotas, Montana, that eastern part of Washington, northern part of Washington.
Hmm.
But now they seems to be all good because they couldn't get fertilizer for like 2 years, and then I guess they just went out and bought their own fertilizer to tell how much they need to farm. So
Okay,
that's where we're at there. All right, man. So let's get to the topic at hand.
let's do it.
Make sure y'all like the video. I'm all coming in, and the only reason why we're doing this is because these unneeded things keep happening within the manosphere. You got these sorry ass motherfuckers who come up with this manosphere show of the week. So you have to understand if you're claiming manosphere and doing entertainment and foolishness while you're manosphere, chances are you're not manosphere. Period. You never were. You was looking for a reason for popularity and bullshit to take over, so that way you can have your place here among men in the actual space itself. They didn't come here to get men jobs. They didn't come here to get men focus on anything. They didn't come here to do none of that. What they came here to do was to cycle people within red pill rage and make a whole bunch of money off of escorting these men right back to the same women, which is incredibly dumb. it's
Well,
crazy, isn't it?
I would say this, man. It's Manosphere, right? But we call it 2.0, and this is one of the things I wanted to touch on here because there's been an attempt here to redefine Manosphere 3.0. And 3.0 was a different it was is a different paradigm, right? So the objectives, the tenets, everything's different. It's not centric around relationships, gender war, gynocracy, and all that crap. It's not, because we were on the frontier of a new horizon here when the channel was formed in 2018. And I'm going to give you guys a backdrop on that because the precursor channel to the Brain Trust is the Business, Wealth, and Power channel that myself and my business partner Anti-Grav that we started. You guys don't know who Anti-Gravity 74 is, man. Shout out to him. That's my little bro, one of my best homies. Um, so that was actually the first channel that was created, and then that channel was merged with the Brain Trust channel, which was a channel that was started by Lionel and Mike. So instead of us doing things on different channels, we just decided to do it on one. So Business Wealth Power was started back in February 2018. Black Brain Trust was started in April 2018. And this was after we assessed the manosphere environment and said that there's a better way to do this. And that's what the Manosphere 3.0 tenets are about, or the manifesto. I don't know if you want me to, do you want me to
Yeah,
read it?
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
All right. Um, and for those of you guys who care to read it, if you go to the Black Brain Trust channel uh, on YouTube, and then just go to the About section, it's basically a one page. It's a one page manifesto. Give me a second. So I'll go ahead and read it. Manosphere 3.0 is a social media socio-political construct wholly curated by the Black Brain Trust. We'll stop right there. It's right there in English. So, for anyone who wants to talk about Manosphere 3.0 being the uh, the phase of the Manosphere after the passing of Kevin Samuels, that's utter bullshit. Because see, when this was
But this
written,
was made before he
when
even blew up.
well,
Before,
I was going to say this was written when he was still here. Rest in peace to him. But this was written when he was still here. So that's a goddamn lie. So we want to just get shit on the record. We're trying to correct the timeline here. That's in the title of this live stream that we're doing right now.
yeah,
Wholly curated by the Black Brain Trust. The basis is built upon the tenets of technocratic thoughts and ideals, globalization, geo and domestic politics, technology, economics, health, as well as relatable social commentary, i.e., the sapiosexualism stuff that we do. Because rather than talk gender war and gynocracy and all that, what we would prefer to talk is deep psychology, intellectualism, critical thought, problem solving, application, and business modeling are the mechanisms through which concepts are transmitted. If you go and look at the Brain Trust library, okay, that's all you have. Everything that you just heard right there is what's back there. Now, if you go to anybody claiming Manosphere 3.0 and go and look at their shit, it is literally nothing like what it is that we do. And we have stuck to our goddamn guns going on 5 years. 420 this year will be 5 years of the Brain Trust. So this is not something that's up for debate at this point.
correct. So when you see this video, let me drop a link to this video
Go ahead, man.
that's in the actual screen here. So when you see somebody who have decided that they were going to be Manosphere 3.0 in 2023, you have to realize this concept has been out there for 5 years
I
already.
wrote the manifesto 5 years ago.
Yeah. So there's really no reason for uh, BGS to even claim Manosphere, that he's Manosphere 3.0, or that the 3.0 era started after Kevin Samuels had died.
This
That,
is crazy.
yeah. So
You
again,
know, what's even funny, dude. When I dig into the archives and shit, I came across live streams and stuff where Crimson Cure was in the chat. Kevin Samuels was there. C Boogie was there. I mean, it was
yeah,
like a hodgepodge and what do they say, a who's who of the Manosphere. And it's funny,
who ain't
motherfuckers
around
act
here
like
anymore.
they act like we have not been around, bro. It's dude, it's wild. It's wild, man. That's all I
But
can
they
say.
only do it to productive men. They never do it to F boys. They never do it to those guys.
Yeah.
Go on Rage Machine, go on Rampage
Dude,
Guy, go on
look. We did the first IT summit. No, scratch that. Sub Zero's been having his IT summits and the shit that he does, but it's like a private thing, right? He has classes, you pay for the stuff and all that.
Sure. Yeah.
We did a free one.
Yeah.
Mike V did like a three. I was like a two-part or a three-part IT summit. Okay, 2019. We were in Africa. We did a whole series of live streams. Do the Black Brain Trust in Africa. Let's see. We touched down Rwanda, Johannesburg, and Kenya. Like we the original passport, bro. No, I'm not gonna say that, but I'm just saying, man. Like every goddamn thing that we've said, like the shit that we've walked the walk and talked the talk every last bit of this time that we've been doing this shit, MOT.
I mean, but you have to understand that, when this guy started talking about complainers, I'm like, dude, you literally could have did all of your content without lying about the history of the Manosphere. None of this stuff was even needed. Like, you could have did every single thing that he's currently doing right now without lying about the history. Like, pretending like Manosphere 1.0 didn't exist, saying that Lactician wasn't part of 1.0 when his channel was clearly still up. At
this
first,
this is
it's
this is insane,
crazy.
dude. This is
Crazy.
insane, dude. Like I'll tell you right now, all my OGs are 1.0 dudes. Okay, it's Mike V, Wacky O, okay, Nagone 11, and Solon Black. All right,
Yeah.
those are all dudes that are still around today. That's why I'm like, why are dudes trying to rewrite history, bro? This is insane.
But but don't rewrite history to write out of the history the people who clearly don't represent what the Manosphere is currently for. Like most of these people who have to outwardly go out and claim that they're Manosphere, they're clearly not because we're supposed to learn everything about this system, and we were not supposed to feed ourselves into it deliberately and then claim some popularity shit later on, like we're teenagers or something. I mean,
I mean,
like,
yo, it's like it's crazy because you won't find any of the old Coliseum live streams from the BGS days, right?
oh, of course not.
Where we were butting heads with everybody. Okay, see, you got to understand something here. The Brain Trust formed because it was said that uh people wanted to talk about women issues and all that shit, and they didn't want to talk about like blockchain and geopolitics. They didn't want to talk about that. So it was like kick rocks, niggas. So all right, we kicked rocks.
I mean, but you have to understand that their whole deal with coming here in the first place was to discuss women ad nauseum, poison these dudes' brains with a whole bunch of BS that didn't need to be had.
Wait, MOT, hey, you sound a little bit far away from the mic, dude.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, but they came here specifically to poison dudes with things that don't need to be even discussed.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
okay. Let's say that you're 60 years old.
Hmm.
Don't you think if you was going to discuss women at all, I mean, truly at all, don't you think that there would be, you would actually have been successful with the women that you're actually discussing before you actually start discussing? Don't you think there would be a thing that you would have done before you should start discussing women, even as an older guy? It
Well,
doesn't make any sense.
well, wait, let's do this, dude. What do you think that you would kind of maybe take some advice from like a dude who actually was happily married and did it right till the whole death do us part thing?
Yeah,
That person might actually have some things to say about how it works, right?
correct.
So again, this is why we do sapio shit and we don't do gender war and gynocracy shit. We get into deep psychology shit. The shit that actually works. Shout out to Rael. The shit that works, right? The shit that really matters in a goddamn relationship and what have you, right? But look, let me tell you something. That stuff also extends across to your business relationships, right? the relationships you have with your family. Okay, so when we say it's psychology, dude, this trend, this deals with more than just man and woman. This deals with how you deal with people internationally as well.
Correct. And it's like, why would you lie about something that is not nearly needed to be lied about? Like, everybody can be able to see the history itself, and it doesn't make any sense to, one, standoffishly lie about these things. Two, dodge jumping up on the panel with the people that you actually disagree with. I mean, because if you're so much of this damn intellectual, you should be able to freely open up a forum so that way we can discuss these issues and move on. But a lot of people don't want to move on. A lot of these people want to stay stuck right here in this particular situation, so that way we wouldn't move anywhere. So it's kind of like we're creating the very gynocracy and weak men that we claim that the women have created with the men.
Well,
So
well,
we
and,
just become a finishing school for weak men. I guess what they wanted to turn the Manosphere into.
well. Here's the thing, though. But then we served as the antithesis to that.
Correct.
Okay, see, so now it's a battle of the wills, right? And I always looked at this as kind of, this is going to be an attrition based sort of thing. I'm here for the smoke. That's what I'm saying. We stuck to our guns for 5 goddamn years. See, so um, if you go into the playlist of the Black Brain Trust channel, and there's literally a playlist called Manosphere 3.0. Okay, and that playlist consists of a bunch of live streams where periodically we had to go live to remind motherfuckers. Okay, Mike V, shout out, hey, what up, Mike? He did a couple of them. I had to fire up a few of them. This is another one. This ain't nothing new right about now. This is just another one of those goddamn reminders.
Yeah, what's going on, Mike B? What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, man?
What up, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really trolling or anything like that. It's kind of like just clearing the air of just a lot of this stuff is just really unneeded. We supposed to, I mean, we're in 2023 and we're trying to reset and recenter the conversation around complaining about women that they have already said that they're not going to provide for. What's the issue? You're not going to be able to. I mean, you're not on the left, you're not on the right, so you're not really trying to organize any political power. So, what's the point of spending, your later years complaining about women that you didn't even best yourself? It doesn't make any sense. And then trying to steer people into these exact same women, like, why organize this car crash? It doesn't make any sense.
Go, Mike. You want to say something?
I'm just coming to the middle of this, so I don't even know where you
Okay.
are. In this
Yeah.
What?
video.
So
Well, we were kind of really, that was kind of just like a side note, but we were more or less just kind of covering the fact that it's not as if the timeline doesn't exist out here, right? The questioning of 1.0, well, there's no documentation of anything and it's just like, dude, 1.0 cats are still around. What are you talking about? Right? See, so it's just kind of like blatant, just covering of the facts.
Well, what happened with 1.0, the backstory on this is that I enumerated the space based on timeline and based on the history. And what was told before was that um, everything started with the people that you see here. And my recollection is that that did not happen. I came into space long before most of these people that you see going live, before there was anything such as a live stream. And so I remember a time when there was other Black men here that existed and were doing content before. And so I enumerated the space as a time before um, what we see now. And so when they say that this is the manosphere, and I say, well, there was something here before you. And so I decided to kind of enumerate it by 1.0, 2.0, and then we came up with 3.0, and then Complex wrote a manifesto on it. But the overall perspective I'm saying here is that there was something here before you, and there has to be, if we're going to have a conversation about the space, let's have a conversation about the grounding, proper grounding, historic grounding around other people. um, Tactician is obviously a very prominent name, but there were dozens of other people that were in the space, and it wasn't one dimensional. That's really the key point here, that it wasn't a one dimensional space. And I think what you see now is that there are a lot of people who are very one dimensional, and can't get out of that dimension. And so they want people like us not to actually have that conversation.
And saying weird stuff like, if we don't like it, we should leave. Like, what's that about?
Well, I think the idea here is that the brain trust is a three-dimensional sort of collaborative of people, of black men in the space, and so we see things differently, and we offer a different perspective in that. And so anytime you try to challenge what's considered to be the current status quo, then you're going to have some pushback that people should go somewhere else. In reality, I remember Wacky World of O, when he was before he had the dreadlocks. Okay, back when he used to show his face out there all the time. Soul and Black, I remember him very distinctively. Even had his phone number back then. There was a time when people used to talk to each other on the phone, because you didn't have live streams before. I mean, you had Blog Talk Radio, but you did have um, a, uh, a different sort of line of communication with people when it was time to get busy. And so you did have, at the economic downturn of 2008, 2009, you had um, guys flipping houses. Soul and Black was one of them. You had, Captain Solo, who was a master electrician. Um, he used to demonstrate some of the wiring and things he used to do. There was another brother, I can't remember his name right now, but he used to be uh, um, he's a boiler maker. He's a master plumbing and gas fitting guy. I think it's a Quasi. Okay, the brother of Common Sense and Logic. I think that's his name now. Um, he used to demonstrate what he was doing. There was a variety of black men doing different things back then, and it was not one dimensional. And when I hear people say like, "Whoa, the space was always about women," not necessarily. I disagree with that. I was there. I don't recall that, and so um, I definitely think that these, the message in the space has been distorted to be that one-dimensional view, that the gynarchy, the matriarchy, and stuff like that. I think there's space to talk about women, but I also think that it shouldn't just be 100% about women. I disagree with that. So
It's wrong to go. It's wrong, man.
Gone.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
Hey,
Yeah, I would have to say salute, and uh, complex. Hit me up later. All right, hit me up later. Just hit me up later.
oh,
Okay.
for sure. Okay.
Okay. All right. But anyway, yeah. I mean, you guys are pretty much talking the facts here. It's getting late. I got to get up really early. I got to be out early, so I'm not going to be here for too long. I just wanted to say very quickly that you know I was around. I started looking into this space and seeing what was going on around 2006, 2007, around that time. You had um, Jenks Morton, who really kind of kicked a lot of things off, certainly in the Black Manosphere. He came with Black Married with Kids and a lot of the things he started, but he had what Black Men Think. And really, that was really to address a lot of what the issues were going on with Black men, and the truth about who and what we were, properly, to define us properly, in the medium of which we were not really getting really to a large extent, you kind of had a black man, I would say, kind of destruction uh, medium out there, industrial complex, if you will, really hitting us for years. I mean, we were getting hit, not only just in the social spaces, if you will, but certainly in literary spaces. I mean, we're talking about people who were Alice Walker, Sashi Shanghai, a lot of other people, Color Girls, and the Rainbow wasn't enough, and Color Purple and all that. We were just getting hammered all over the place. And it was really not a pushback on this, and this is kind of how the Manosphere really did come about, and that's how a lot of brothers early on who were really getting into this space really kind of started and kind of kicked that off. So a lot of that was about getting the record, setting the record straight, and putting out the truth as to what as to what we really did look like, and then kind of move and kind of evolve forward. I think just really just taking a broad view of this, a lot of what's this manosphere has evolved into now is more about entertainment, and you had the whole, because the conservatives call themselves conservatives or whatever, coming in and and that whole thing and all this stuff going on, but as far as as far as the space really addressing real black men's issues, and that's kind of what we were really, that's kind of what this space was really about very early on, and really addressing black men and improving black men. We've kind of moved away from that, and the 2.0 guys came in after, pretty much after that, and got a lot of voice because of the platforms that I would say um, YouTube came out with, especially the the live streams, Google, the whole Google,
The
the whole Google
Hangouts.
live streams, yeah, the Google Hangouts, and then all the other stuff that kind of came out from there, and then you started looking at the super chats and Patreon, all that stuff started coming in later, and really it kind of turned a lot more into more business as things started to broaden. Because when you had Thugtician and Soul and Black and all these other butts back then, all the arguments or a lot of the talking points were set then, were really set then. That's where things were set, pretty much. And those arguments that a lot of those brothers were laying down, especially to what some of these sisters who were coming, who were really coming in and attacking black men and so forth. These brothers were coming in here and really just laying down pretty much laying down, a very cogent argument, laying out how we really did look like, what the real truth on us really was, and they started correcting the record book, and those sisters couldn't deal with that. They couldn't deal with with that argument, with those talking points. They really couldn't, and that's what the Manosphere was based on. And then they, of course, they came with their once again, as I said, their false flagging campaigns and so forth, and trying to get a lot of brothers out of the space because they couldn't really contend with the arguments that brothers were laying down. And Mike can get into that into more detail with you on that, and so forth, and some of the other brothers who were here. I certainly was, but who could back that up? That's really what was really what happened. And then as those brothers kind of eased out, moved on out, um, then in 2014, 2015, you saw kind of the 2.0 people coming in, and where I saw BTS and started seeing these guys. Not only did they used to have small channels that really weren't catching a lot of ground. It was more like Obsidian, which is Blog Talk Radio, and a few other brothers, who were kind of out there. Tommy was out there as well. Um, Really, that's where I saw a lot of these other brothers. Where I saw PGS and other guys. They were on Obsidian's Blog Talk Radio show. We were there, all there. All of us were there, kind of there. Kind of having these conversations, and things started to kind of move from there. And I remember uh, Obsidian having one show that was very big called "I Don't Want to Be the Cleanup Man," and that was a big show for him, and that's kind of setting things off. And Alan Roger Curry all started coming in with his Mode One and all. He had all these people coming in. Angry Man was there, and BGS started, was flowing in, and a lot of the brothers started coming through. Of course, Hardcore Tito was coming through there, and Black Ram was certainly around. Black Ram really kind of goes back to 1.0, to be quite frank with you. He was out there pretty early. I think Black Ram was around 2014. I think that's when he started coming out with Black Ram for Vengeance, and stuff. But yeah, as we saw this newer manosphere that we've seen that it has grown and moved into 3.0, and then the 4.0 is as far as some others have claimed. Um, that's kind of where we saw things kind of growing out. But as far as these guys establishing that and being the founders of it. It's um, BGS and being the founders of it. It's a ridiculous notion. Ridiculous. They were nowhere near the on the front lines of that. The brothers that were on the front lines of that were Sergeant Willie Pede, Thug Titian, and so all these guys started out back around 2008, 2007, 8, 2009, and so forth. That's where that really started, and there's evidence, there's videos out there that really speak to this. I'm not here, to sit here and just try to, say what other people say is good, bad, or whatever. I'm just laying out how this space really started to evolve, and it was not just about women. Women were a part of it, but it was really about speaking the truth as to who and what black men really were. And this was a space for black men, and it was about who we were and how were we defined, how we defined as opposed to what the medium was putting out there about us. And yes, people like Thug Titian and some others, they were certainly strong in the area of men's rights, and so forth, and really speaking out about men's rights and black men's rights more than anything else, and how black men were perceived and how we should move about in society and how we should be looked, perceived, and how we should develop in the society as well. And Thug Titian was from England, but the same issues that went on there were here. So it's just black men pretty much in the Western diaspora, if you will, the dynamics were very much the same. So that's what kind of really joined us together in the sphere, if you will, and really talking about those issues. Just wasn't about women and dating. Dating coaches were setting the whole thing up, and no, that certainly was not the case.
Senator Gone, I have a question for you.
And I think a lot of the very intelligent arguments that were being broken down about black men were out there. Were being laid out there by those guys, which were very, very important arguments. Guys were laying out the truth as to who we really were. And I think that's where 1.0 was very successful in really laying that out, and that's what and 2.0 picked up from there. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so I got a question. So it would be kind of crazy that these people want to center the conversation
Go ahead.
around women because it has to be that they made this decision outside of everybody's control that they were going to center the conversation around the weakest specific argument that's going to make us look the worst if we ever went anywhere else outside of the space. Because it can't be that these people came here and that they had this plan all along and that they hatched this plan to like turn the Manosphere into what it was now. Like, I wonder what that decision making process was like, because people pop up and just say, "Oh, it's for entertainment now. Oh, we from this, that, and the other." And it's like, wait a minute, we didn't debate this out in the wide open. That y'all just decided to split off and do this type of stuff. It seems kind of crazy. Mike, Mike, you there? Mike, you're on mute. Okay, complex.
Yo,
What do you
okay.
think of that statement about how things were come from learning about the actual environment to feeding people back into it and holding them hostage with their sum of all fears type of situation?
Well,
Like, what do you think that
that's
change was
nothing
about?
new, man. That's again, there was a lot of that going on back then. Remember that whole dishwasher shit,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
Where they were trying to say that okay, what productive brothers need to do. And mind you, this is the reason why you don't find these live streams listed, public on his channel anymore, because a lot of the shit that a lot of them dudes used to talk about back then, they don't push that shit today. Okay,
No, of course not.
because
Yeah.
back then they were trying to tell brothers like us what we needed to do was go and clean up, be the dishwashers, as they say, right? People got to do the dirty work, clean up the community. You're the ones that got to go and marry up the single mothers and all this and all that, and that runs literally juxtaposed to our digital nomad, you, you know, globalist technocratic, And we have if you listen to our stuff, we've given the framework for what that technocratic thought is, right? It doesn't have to be like all this kind of doom and gloom type of scenario in terms of how we go about approaching the globe. But I think what we've done is we've taken we've taken the last 5 years, going on 5 years, to really curate what it is that we're trying to communicate. It's a lot of live streams up there. Okay. So you cannot take away from what it is that we're trying to lay out here. And all that shit that them dudes was talking back then did not fall in line in the least bit. It was look, the reason they called it the Coliseum for a reason. We didn't get up there and kiki and ha ha like all these goddamn live streams that you hear today. Okay. We were doing battle. Okay. It was everybody had some smoke. That's why they called it the Coliseum. And
And
some motherfuckers just ultimately they could not hang.
so what you have to realize is that a lot of these people was at the end of their rope content wise, because now it was time to either produce for the women or actually push the responsibility off on the other people. And at that point, they were to push the conversation off on other people. Now they're the individuals who want to make these claims that they now care about the boys and all this kind of other stuff. But no one ever concentrates on people who created this actual position in the first place, which I found to be awfully weird. Is that we have all these complaints about things that are going on. So now the people who wanted to destroy all productive men now want productive men to fight for dead end causes that nobody else is actually fighting for. And we've been here for 5 or 6 years, and no one still have never taken a political side or organized politically, or even actually pushing the idea that you're not to vote at all. Hold your vote hostage. I'm like, hold on a second. You can have a 15-point agenda and you're going to hold your vote hostage. So it's like, what are we doing here? I mean,
Well,
all
I'm saying
politics
that.
is local, but a
Well,
lot of people just didn't want to participate in the process at all, but complain about it, what they wanted to do.
I was going to say the thing about it is that a lot of the ideas have to be thoroughly vetted and tested. So that means that they have to be put up they have to be put up in debate form against those that who may think that they say, for example, they may think they have a better way, right? And these things need to be vetted out. And it's kind of like that's what we would do. Oftentimes we would challenge a lot of this stuff. We would say, okay, well, let's see if that's actually viable, right? Based on our research, this is what's the most viable, right? And so when we would lay it out, and it would all be based on the articles that we would do, all of the analysis that we would do. See, so we weren't just speaking out of our ass, okay? Whereas the large portion of the content creators and shit who get out here and they say this stuff, it's more of it's more of like embellished opinions. It's like I'm going to be very loud, very boisterous, very over the top about my very uninformed opinion. Okay, and really what it is that people are entertained by this shit. I mean, just go watch when Edward Anderson goes live and blows a gasket.
Yeah, but we know that
Everybody
these
starts putting
people,
little hurricane emojis in chats and shit. It's amazing to watch.
yeah, but people would have to know and understand that this stuff is going to be highly embarrassing if one of these people ever were to get their quote unquote mainstream chance. It would be very disastrous for everybody who's even associated themselves with the concept. No, you're saying this with the Destiny fiasco and the outcome that people still email me today claiming that he won the debate because he showed up, not his
Wait,
actual
wait,
performance.
wait, who won the debate?
Angry Man won the debate because he showed up.
Oh my god, no, I
Uh,
heard
uh,
that. I heard
and,
that shit.
and
It's bad.
I mean, but you will have to understand that people want this mainstreaming of people that they want to get behind so bad that they're willing to lie about things that are verifiable. It's nuts.
Dude, it's insane. I mean, like you can't go from 1 week talking about Passport Bros and sharing Austin Holloman content to then turning around doing an interview about Manosphere 3.0. Like, get the entire fuck out of here, dude.
I mean, but he's losing his relevance and losing his control over the actual
Okay, but don't
audience
don't
itself.
don't come
So,
sniffing. Don't come sniffing around our creations, bro. That's not the move.
but he has to leverage all intellectual property as his own, though. Like that's what the problem is. And when you have people here who lack the sheer integrity to be like, hey, hold on a second, these things. No, man, they buy a hook, line, and sinker, but you don't have these individuals running anything anywhere within society. So it's kind of like this amalgamation of failed men who don't run anything anywhere but want to run things here. What's going on? No
Hey,
excuses. We're
hey,
on Triple J now.
can I say something real quick? Um,
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead,
yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah. I was trying. Yeah, yeah. I was trying to. I was trying to get in there for a second. You know, the mission of the black of the Manosphere 1.0 was really to become more political. That's kind of what it was, and that's where people were really, since it had a big men's rights aspect to it and so forth. It was about being to become more political, really not only take a sides, but to become a lot more politically active, and kind of expand from there. That's something that didn't happen with 2.0. That when the 2.0 guys came in, that aspect of moving to that, I mean, it did not happen. That did not go down. Things changed. So I just want to say that yes, the mission was to become a lot more political, certainly with 1.0 and moving to 2.0. But a lot of brothers who kind of filtered out of 1.0, um, when 2.0 got, or was called 2.0, started to get involved. That political aspect of what was really what the Manosphere was supposed to more or less evolve to, it never really came about. That didn't happen. So and then that, and you saw some critiques, some brothers like Soul and Black and so forth. They came out and critiqued 2.0, saying you were supposed to take it to this next level, and it didn't happen. So that was a critique from them in many respects. And if they were around today, or Soul Black, I don't know if Wacky Will of Otis is here, but he can kind of really kind of back it up as well. But that's kind of how things were supposed to kind of evolve, and that point never really kind of came about. So I would say the real mission, I think, of the Manosphere become even more politically active and becoming more of a voice in kind of the political space in many respects, and being effective there, has not come to fruition. I'll just say that.
Yeah, it's just that. And Mike, you still there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to add anything or?
No.
All right, so it's just that at this specific juncture, like going forward, I mean, you can't clearly be in the same space and then try to leverage everybody else's movements because you're out of talking points. Because here's the thing, the relationship industry conversation is literally over. It's over. It's either you're going to stay, accept your lot. It's either you're going to stay and produce for these women, or you're going to leave and do those other things. So there's really no need to leverage, Austin Holloman, because he was at that point fighting a gender war that they were trying to restart. But now everybody's kind of moving on to their own thing, and now he has to restart this whole thing about trying to get the damaged and broken boys leverage back onto these women to start this whole issue all over again. What's going on, Lonzo? And it's like, you mean to tell me that's what your overall plan was from the beginning to end? Was to just be popular off of these problems and not even attempting to try to solve them? Because now I think the environment is way smarter, noticing that these people are not going to do anything to change any of these issues at this point.
We don't have a track record of it. I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, um, the proof's in the pudding at the end of the day, right? And like I said, I can stand firm on the going on 5 years of content on the Brain Trust. Mike can stand firm on it. We can all stand firm on it. Okay, so without question, we know we've put in the work, we put in the time, uh, we acquire the knowledge to synthesize a lot of what needs to be understood about this world post pandemic, this fourth industrial age that we're in. Okay. We put a lot of work into synthesizing the information and laying it in your lap, giving you the tools on what you can do to make yourself someone successful in this new age, i.e., the certifications discussions and things of that sort, right? It's all there. So it's like, for me, it's something that, look, you cannot question it. You can't take it away from us. Okay. It's all there. It's all put in playlists. It's all categorized. It's all archived. Like, just don't lie about shit, you know? And the other thing too is that when there is mention of channels that do tech centric content and stuff like that, like, we are never ever mentioned. But like I said, before there was talk of IT summits, Mike did a free one here.
No need to go down to Atlanta and
There was
pretend that
no
you
there's Oh my god.
go to all these liberal cities, man, for things that you can look up and do on your own, dude. Like, there's really no need to do that. If it was really about getting to be productive, you didn't need to be meeting up with the relationship industry to go do any of that. Not only that, your content didn't change after these so-called Manosphere meetups were over. I mean, a year. Look what happened. No David Carroll, no Kevin Samuels, no ARC. Like, all the things that seems to be the pillar of the direction that they want to take things are not even here anymore. So now, grasping at straws, trying to destroy men who are actually waking up to the truth of this, is, I think, is crazy. What's going on, Ryle?
Peace, MOT, to the panel, to the chat.
Hold on, bro.
Um, First and foremost, let me say this. It's been an honor and a privilege to have been in the company of these distinguished black men, these distinguished gentlemen, to have been able to interact with them on the Black Brain Trust for the years I've been allowed to. One of the things I would like to say is that it's given me a great deal of pride as a black man to know that these types of men, because we have had the privilege of being able to interact with each other digitally, to know that there are more black men who are productive than what people really want to give us credit for. Okay. And one of the worst things that can happen is for us to be able to connect in these type of spaces and not get any work done amongst each other. It will be a complete waste of time. It would show the world that we are not to be taken seriously, when the world, in a lot of ways, does not take us seriously. And so, when you use black men who have not had fathers or father figures in their lives, and you use that experience to siphon money out of them, to feed them rhetoric that keeps them emotionally binded to that particular painful type of situation. It's one of the worst things that you can do, especially when people are regarding you as an elder, because elders don't do that. The reason why me and Complex did the stream on masculinity, because me and him have been talking about doing that for probably about 3 months before we did it. See, we didn't just throw together some stream and do this. I told him that I wanted us to, in a very pointed way, show how masculinity and manhood is developed, because it's not by accident, it's not by happenstance, it's through initiation. And business is a form of initiation. It is, because of the demands that business requires you to be successful. You have to be able to build relationships to be successful in business. Like that is
That's
the most important. That's the most
that's what
important thing
underlies
that,
your goddamn success.
right. That's what a lot of these cats don't understand. That much of your success in life is going to come from you being able to build personal and business relationships. So when you start talking about things like a brotherhood, for example, you cannot have a brotherhood of men when you have males who are willing to steal people's shit, steal people's content, undermine people's content, because the reason why you would try to undermine somebody's content, the way that they have been doing with the Black Brain Trust, is because you know it's better. Because if it's about competition, because they love to use this notion that, oh well, the reason why y'all are complaining because y'all not popular. Well, yeah, but it's we were never here to be popular. We were here to get something done. And this is not high school. None of us that are up here right now have ever regarded this space as some high school experiment. We way past that. And so when you have these types of dudes who disregard the work that's necessary, because that's really what it comes down to. The reason why they like to talk about the females all the time, because it keeps them from having to actually do some damn work, some real legitimate work, that really, where you have to sit down and really formulate strategies to not only short-term strategies, but long-term strategies
Hmm.
to build institutions that best reflect us. This is what we have to have as men. We have to have institutions that best reflect us. This is why I've been pushing a lot of the stuff that Booker T. Washington did, because he was about the institution building. Okay. And so he to me, he's a great example of what can happen when Black men can just put petty differences aside and get to work. And so to have white men take that idea from a Black man, and use it inspirationally, and take that idea and say, okay, let us build something in that same fashion, and build a U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which is the largest business organization in the world. To see them take something like that came from the mind of a Black man and establish that, it really makes us have to look at ourselves and say, okay, how did we collectively drop the ball on the blueprint of somebody like Booker T. Washington, and get to this point where we have dudes on the internet who think that it's more important to be popular than to be productive? Like, something like, we have to really address that. I don't care what kind of family you come from. I don't care about all that. All I care about now is, like, what do you want to do now? Like, what is your goal here? Like, what do you want to achieve? If you're only about yourself and making sure your channel is popular, and F everybody else, okay, that's fine. But don't get out here on a stream that you fire up 3 o'clock in the morning and talk about how brothers don't help each other. brothers don't stick together. Brothers don't support each other and invest in each other. When you are one of the main types of people who have been going around against people you don't like, because I have recommended certain videos by certain people who I don't really care for. If it's right, I'll recommend it because it's right and it needs to get to the right ears so dudes can hear certain things, so they can be, awakened in a certain way, so they can see things that they might not have seen before. I'm not a hater. I don't know what it's like to be a hater and feel what a hater feels, because I just don't move like that. So for me, my mentality is that, you know, when it comes to the things that has happened to the brain trust, because I've always supported it when I've been on different channels in the past, previous years when I was on other people's content. I was constantly, talking about how a lot of the men needed to, come check out the content of the brain trust. So I had no idea it was so much hatred for the brain trust from a lot of these dudes whose claim to fame is that they want to help black men and black boys. It's only within the last year and a half, having conversations with Complex and having certain interactions with certain people in the space, that I realized, like, it's a lot of dudes that really been moving like the very females that they claim they don't like, which is bitch like to me.
Yeah, but you have
Real
to
shit.
understand that most of these people came here to gain a level of popularity without any responsibility associated with it. What they wanted to do is they wanted to go back to high school where they can just talk, just to be talking with no action that's even requested or even required. And to try to use the men's inexperience within the same environment to pretty much cycle them within a level and system that they are not even besting themselves, I think is wholly crazy. I think it's nuts. And to do this thing simply for popularity is also insane. It doesn't make any sense to me for a guy to still be within the same space doing all of these things while we're in the same space. It's different if you moved out of town, you dropped out of the YouTube thing, you formulated some type of business, you're in some type of neighborhood providing all these things that you are providing, and you calling yourself something. I think that's a bit different than just trying to steal things, troll things, misinform people deliberately, because it's not about him being dishonest. It's about dragging the entire group of people that he ministers to under the same bus that he's trying to throw us under,
Well,
which
I'll
also
tell you
makes
like
no
this. I'll tell
sense.
you like this. Like, look, admittedly, I came here for different reasons. A lot of people
Yeah.
that seemingly kind of get centered around him have to deal. It's like like I said, dude. They call him master teacher. I've never fucking called him that shit. Right? If I did, I was trolling him at best. Because I have a live stream where I kind of took a jab at him by calling him master teacher. But like, so I did it in jest. It was never anything where I literally looked at him as that, because if anything, I always like challenged him on shit. And um that's what I was here for. I needed to vet my ideas, right? This is kind of like this sphere where, I guess people are supposed to be intellectual, right? And people are supposed to be well read, and uh, they're very knowledgeable, right? Well, hey, I fancy myself to kind of be these things too. But what I also like to do is I like to get my hands dirty in the real world, try this shit out for myself, so I can speak to it more firmly. And see, and that's where the demarcation line happens. When you're one of the people that's out here literally doing the shit. Okay, you make the content, and then on top of that, you have the business aspect that's literally tied into it, so you can speak on both sides of the equation, versus just, well, I read these books, and so these are my thoughts, and I'm like, yeah, great. Why don't
Well,
you why don't you try that out in real life?
see, the thing is that um it's not just about having knowledge. See, you're ultimately supposed to get to the place where you have wisdom. And how you get to wisdom is by properly applying knowledge. So when we did the stream on masculinity, one of the books that I referenced talked about how because of the dearth of elders, because I actually had came across this study by international NGO that talked about how the lack of elders across the world, not just in America, but in the world, has led to um, an issue in terms of the younger people not being properly brought into what their responsibilities are within their social spheres, whether it be family, community, and things like that. So whenever you see, because a lot of times what we see from the older generation, because we're Generation X, many of us, and what we had to hear for a long time was how much of a lost generation we were. We were considered the lost generation. And so my question used to always be, well, who the fuck lost us? Because we didn't lose ourselves. And so the very people who were primarily responsible for losing us were the main ones attacking us and antagonizing us, while wanting us to simultaneously give them credit for not doing anything. And so um, what this particular book talked about was spaces like these in particular, because there's such a lack of elders. These spaces are going to be, in terms of a brotherhood, are going to be like like these are going to be your elders. Like Mike V is going to be my elder. Complex is going to be my elder. MOT is going to be my elder, because unfortunately many of the older men before us, they don't have anything to give us. And because we had to go figure out shit, a lot of shit on our own, and many of us that's up here, we have had to figure out shit on our own. Um, we're more equipped to help each other and help each other advance in a similar fashion that an elder would, but because we've had to just figure out a lot of stuff on our own, we're more equipped to help each other than some old nigga trying to use this typical black trope that, well, since I'm older than you, you got to listen to me because I'm older than you. Well, I'm 44 years old. I'll be 45 this year. There's no way an old nigga who ain't got shit going for himself is going to sit there and tell me that I'm supposed to listen to him just because he's older. That don't make any sense to me. Like, I don't even allow people that I'm related to by blood to talk to me like that. I had to check one of my great cousins a few years ago because he tried to came with that same nonsense. But this was the same type of dude who, when I was younger, his own sisters wouldn't even want to listen to him. When he would try to enforce authority on them, when he would leave the room, his own sisters who were still in high school would just laugh at him like, "Who does he think he is? He can't tell us what to do." And when me and him got into it, I even checked him on it. I said, I see why your sisters didn't actually listen to you when we were younger, because even then they recognized that you weren't capable. And so, that's a lot of these type of dudes. That's a lot of these type of dudes who were weak for females, trying to tell you how to see the world. When you get out here in business, you don't get to see the world as a fairy tale and how you hope it to be. You got to see the world for what it is and move accordingly and try to figure out a way to navigate through that by making good decisions in response to the impediments that you're going to naturally face in any environment. Any environment is going to offer you impediments to um, advancement, and you're going to have to figure out a way to get around those types of things. People like us who are business minded, we're in a very field that forces you to figure out impediments to getting to keeping you from getting money. You have to figure out what's keeping you, what strategy you need to use so you can get to the bag. You have to do that, and we have to
It's
do
not
that
black
overall in
women
life.
either.
No.
It's not. It's not. Yeah, he literally had the fucking audacity to tell me that shit. I was on that live stream I sent you, Ryo. That was the one where Mike V had to cut it off, dude, because like, he tried to pull the master teacher shit on the brain trust. I was like, okay, motherfucker, you're on my channel now. Gloves off. Like, we're not doing this. And then he pulled the, well, I'm a guest. Fuck you. Like, what are you talking about, man? Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, we need to vet this shit. You know what I'm saying? So, this dude tried to challenge me on some like, well, what work are you doing? And I'm like, motherfucker, the brain trust. In addition to the other shit, but the channel that you're on right now. And he's like, well, if you were really doing the work, you'd be doing what I'm doing. And I go, what? Talking about black women? What? Running a women's channel? And he's just like, do you know why I run a women's channel? I was like, I don't give a fuck why you're running a women's channel. Because I was like, by you suggesting that if I was really doing the work, I would be doing what you're doing. That means you would be suggesting to me that I need to be woman centric. Bullshit. And then we had to cut the stream, right? Because he had an emotional meltdown. But I was like, fuck, get the fuck out of here, man. Like, what the hell? What are we talking about here?
All right, so with JC the Conqueror, all right, so look at the video on screen. Kittens and babies playing together. 7.37 mil. Me too. But but you actually think that we're gonna compete with this? With people getting their shit together?
You can't compete with kittens.
Like, come on,
bro.
bro.
Sorry, you can't compete with kittens, man.
Like, bro, listen, man.
I'll turn
Most
some
of these
shit
people,
off for some kittens.
Yeah, so it's like you cannot literally expect us for progress to be popular. Progress is never fucking popular. Oh, Gay Base here? I don't see him in the chat anywhere. So what is Gay Base talking about?
God knows what.
If you can see him, I can't see him.
I have no idea. That
Yeah, but that's the thing.
That guy doesn't exist to me anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, but
anyway.
He's a clown.
You guys have to realize that that's where we're at. That's clearly where we are.
Yeah, and the thing about it is like one of the things that really pissed me off about a lot of these dudes is, and me and you, Complex, we talked about this. When they start pushing back and using the, because I had one of these dudes call me a white capitalist one time. Okay, you know what I'm saying? And when you take a step back and you hear them say that, like, they'll be the first one to talk about white supremacy, but you actually believe white people are supreme because you have the mindset that black men can't get money. Like, black men don't have the capability of getting money. Like, you don't even know enough about your history to understand that we have always been a men about getting money. Like, what are you talking about? Like, slavery was a hiccup in our experience. That was not the norm in our experience. Like, that was not what we were used to. We were used to getting money together as men. What's not normal is us to not move together as men and get money. That's abnormal. That's the abnormal thing. And so when you start seeing these cats push back against us in the same ways that they pushed against Garvey, many of these same masters and PhD types of people were some of the main enemies of Marcus Garvey. And it's very ironic that a lot of these people, a lot of these pro-black, like their master teacher and the G with the PhD and these type of cats, they'll consider themselves Pan-Africanists. Well, what was Garvey? Garvey said from the outset that he was a capitalist. And who did Garvey get inspired by? Garvey was inspired by Booker T. Washington. He read up from slavery and it inspired him. That's why he wanted to meet Booker T. Washington. And unfortunately, Booker T. Washington was taken out before he could actually meet Garvey. But the very people now on the street, when it comes to street culture, when it comes to nigger-fired culture, they'll say that a dude that talks to the police, if he talks to the police and tells on somebody, he's a snitch. But you have the so-called black intelligentsia of that time going to the federal government, like literally pursuing them and pushing for them to lock Marcus Garvey up, and they ultimately were successful. They even had a movement. They had the name of their movement was the Garvey Must Go. And it's very ironic that that's why I keep saying that this battle has not been won, because we're still fighting this particular battle. The same battle that Booker T. Washington and Garvey was fighting against the black intelligentsia or so-called intelligentsia is the same thing that we're fighting up against now. The only difference now, we're aware of what the battle is. We know what it is now because we couldn't put our finger on it at first. And the reality of the situation is, in other groups of people, the builders of the men are always going to be more respected than talkers of the men. The problem in Black America is Black people love to hear people talk good things while they hate on the people that actually build great things. And that's a serious problem for Black people as a collective. It's not on the builders. The builders are not the problem. It's the people who don't adhere to the standards of what the builders represent. Because at the end of the day, how can these people be offended by Black men specifically? Because people are always talking about how Black men don't do nothing, Black men don't
You
build no
don't build.
community.
You don't build.
Right. So how can you be offended by the very men who took on the
Get the fuck
responsibility to
out of here.
build something? How can you be offended by these
So
people?
wait, hey, so Rael, and here's the other part to that. See, so check this here out, right? So what it is that I've taken on that mantle. The brothers here have taken on that mantle. So see, when we get charged with that type of shit, don't feel some kind of way when the smoke comes back to you. Don't feel no kind of way about that shit, right? Because we have to take that type of shit as a projection on us all the time as Black men. We do. And then when we get out here and we literally highlight what it is that we do, give insights into it, give you the resources, give you the links, we give you all this shit, then motherfuckers want to make light of it?
Right.
Like, fuck you guys, man. I mean, not to the people listening. You know, I'm just saying. Like I said, this is about the 5th time we've had to do one of these live streams where we've sort of had to reiterate why the fuck it is we're here.
Right.
Yeah, but you have to understand, like, what the fuck I just witnessed within the chat, like, with JC the Conquerors want us to
Dude,
do
get the fuck out of here. You
niggas playing and
good.
dude
Put some
just want to
fucking money
feel
in your pocket,
good.
you idiot.
I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm
What are
like,
you
nigga,
talking
grow
about?
the fuck up. What are you talking about? Am I supposed to put plushies and fucking graphics up
What do
for you to fucking do what
no,
the
no,
fuck you need to be
you're
doing?
supposed to bring the kitty video back up.
Right. Right.
Bring the kitten video back up. He wants to feel good. Show him a baby and a kitten.
Right.
Like, a lot of these dudes have self-esteem issues because they're not
God damn.
appreciated, neither accomplished in their regular fucking life. So they need everything to reflect entertainment to actually bring everybody down to their bullshit dumbass fucking level. And I do fuck with Todd City. But come on, man. You know what Todd City does outside of tech talks. Come on, man. But at the end of the day, you have to understand, bro, like, these are the men who were raised by these individuals. They have been completely, they use their entire creative faculties to create bullshit, and they
Right.
cannot do anything else other than trying to please women and trying to bring along the wrong type of women all the time. It's fucking stupid.
But
But
here's the thing though, MOT. Once again, man, it's making sure that the line in the sand is firmly is like, goddamn it, seen from space. Okay?
yeah,
Between 2.0 and 3.0. Let me tell you something, man. In 3.0 land, the assumption here is that there is a goal in mind in terms of life's outcomes, right? And it's not intrinsically tied to a woman or some sort of gender war or some sort of gynocracy, right? We're thinking that we are men that are working with a mind that can separate shit, that can separate things from themselves that don't intrinsically bring any sort of value to you. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't bring any value to you to be embedded in that type of shit, right? It actually will be of value to you to be of sound psychological mind.
Well, complex. Like to put this in a business context. Okay, so you know, the conversations that we have had with, you know, Alonzo and back chats and talking about business and nonprofit type things. What these dudes don't realize is that when you have a black man like Alonzo selling life insurance, you have to understand that he is fighting an uphill battle trying to get black people even thinking about this. Okay. And so when you talk about marketing dollars, for example, when you're able to come to a space where you don't have to really spend a lot of money, especially from an initial standpoint, to market your product. One of the things that will help you and still helps people in business to this very day is word of mouth. Okay.
Mhm.
So when you have somebody that's trying to, and even Alonzo has said that one of his mentors, who is a Mormon guy, has acknowledged to him that he acknowledged how difficult it is for him as a black man to sell life insurance to black people. So people in other groups already know that a
What you're
man
up
like
against.
Alonzo
Yeah.
is going to have a difficult time trying to get black people to orient their mind into something as important as life insurance. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because we have had some notable people who have lost their lives in this space. We have had Kevin Samuels, rest in peace. ARC, rest in peace. We have had David Carroll, rest in peace.
Yeah.
And we recently have lost Mrs. Shirley
Shirley
Husar.
Huzar. Rest in
Rest in
peace to
peace to
her.
her as well. Okay. And from what I've seen, I think all of them, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. I think all of them had a GoFundMe account set up, if I'm not mistaken.
Not Kevin.
Not Kevin. Okay. So 3 out of 4. 3 out of 4. Now, why is this important? Now, these were some people who were there up in age. Okay. And we didn't have any expectation that these people were about to check out of here. We had no clue that these things were going to happen. But these people had things like GoFundMe set up when, if we had people who had and especially when you have people that, the people who claim they love Kevin so much. This is especially for those people. The people that claim they love Kevin so much. This stuff doesn't resonate with y'all.
Right.
Life insurance doesn't resonate with y'all at this point.
Should've
Like if
resonated with
you're
me.
somebody like T. Hassan Johnson, for example, and you're a widower, so you know what it's like to lose a spouse and have, I'm assuming that she probably was working too, and have that income taken, not just the presence of that person, but that income taken from your family. And when a brother like him reaches out to you, there's nothing, there's no response, there's nothing. And then, but we could see all your videos about black women this, black women that, black women this, black women that. And it's supposed to be about, y'all supposed to be elders. So if y'all are elders, why aren't you helping the younger generation advance themselves then? Because that's what elders are supposed to do. Elders are supposed to help initiate you into your manhood and masculinity. Well, Alonzo was doing the right thing. He turned his life around. At one point in time, he was doing stuff he shouldn't have been doing, but he evolved into something like this. And no matter what they say about the other side and what black females get and stuff like that, I'll put Alonzo's expertise up against anything that these females think they have getting from outside people, because of the skill set and what it can do. It can do so much great things, and it will do great things for many of our businesses, because we're going to utilize his talent in a way to help us expand our wealth building capacity. So when we push him, this is not about being popular. This is about helping niggas get some money in their pocket for their families. How are you offended by black men trying to help you and your family put some money in your pocket so when the next generation of people come up, when the older generation dies off, and it's time for the younger people to stand up, they don't have to go beg somebody for a loan for college. Instead, they don't have to start out in debt coming out of college, which is why Robert F. Smith helped the Morehouse men when he paid off their college debt, so they could come out not having to owe
Not having
somebody
that, not be
anything.
burdened.
How is that offensive to you? That's going to help your family. So when that particular person dies, they don't have to worry about having to have a GoFundMe account put up for them, because now y'all are moving in the right direction. And to cap this off, and I want to say this: when Alonzo had his wealth brunch and he had Eugene Mitchell on there, Eugene Mitchell said that if all the black people who had lost their lives from COVID had a minimum of a $250,000 life insurance policy, he said black people could have effectively closed the wealth gap with white people, just like that.
Yeah.
Could have effectively closed the wealth gap. So for all these people that talk about, well, the wealth gap and white people got so much money and they have a head start, he said those people, if they would have had a life insurance policy minimum of $250,000, could have effectively closed the wealth gap with white people. That would have mean that you have families that had $250,000 at their disposal minimum. That could have been money for business. That could have been money for a college program, helping them go through a trade program.
certifications to go, and then so you may start making money from that, but you had the money to go and pursue it to get it. I'm
Right,
just saying, there's things you can do with that shit.
right, because that money frees up your time. So instead of you having to work a BS job while you trying to finish programs, and anybody that's been to college trying to work while they go to school, you know how frustrating it can be. So instead of you having to do that, you can actually focus on something like that that's more beneficial. Instead of black people going to college majoring in goofy degrees that don't really mean anything, you can actually take your time and focus on something that could be much more beneficial. And even if you do, pursue certain degrees, you can get into positions where you can get internships that can connect you, because internships help you build networking capabilities and capacities as well. So many of these people don't understand business. They don't understand investing for the future. They don't understand, the notion of passing down wealth generationally. And they're the main ones that's trying to fight the very black men who are trying to share this information with black men like themselves, because just because they don't like us, that doesn't mean they can't use the information and grow. Like, how silly can you be to have a channel like the Black Brain Trust that puts out all this information, and you so stupid, you'll sit there and be like, well, I don't like
I'm
them
not going
niggas,
to
so
share their shit.
I'm not gonna share it, and I'm
I'm
not
not going
gonna
to talk about them. You can't talk about them on my channel.
hold on. I'm not just not gonna share it.
Fuck outta
I'm
here.
not gonna even utilize the information that's there for my own benefit. Like, how dumb can you be?
Oh, I'm gonna steal their Manosphere 3.0. I'm gonna steal that though. I'll take that. Thank you very much. Fuck out of
Yeah,
here.
but it's kind of like what JC earlier was like. Well, you need to compromise. You need to do that. I'm like, dude, I don't compromise with these people in real life.
He on that
I don't have
subscribe.
these
He was
people
that
around
subscriber
in real.
supremacy shit.
And it's like, it's pathetic and sad to hear a grown ass fucking adult.
Like literally tell me I need to feel good. That's why I say, MOT, just play the fucking video with the kitten and the baby.
This is what you want. You want
This is what
you
you
want
want, dude.
progress to look and sound like this. It's so fucking stupid.
Yeah, this is what you want right here. You want the little baby and the kitten. Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Yo,
but you
hey,
have to
okay, there you go. All right.
understand, Doc Phoenix, that these people came here
I
to
just read his
languish in the
comment.
problems that are here. They didn't come here to create anything any more different that is here. They came here to celebrate failure. They want
Mm-hmm.
a person complaining about women to be the only thing that men can actually strive for. That's why they want to go mainstream with that message. They want to go mainstream with the fact that we're all losers. Don't expect anything out of
Right.
us. We're the bottom of the barrel. Don't do
Right.
anything else.
They're the real white supremacists. They're the real white supremacists. I mean, we got somebody like Doc Phoenix, for example. Salute to Doc Phoenix. Just imagine, and Doc Phoenix can attest to this because he's in the industry. There is a medical bias in healthcare when it comes to black people getting treatment.
You better
Okay.
believe it.
Okay. So basically, in
My
a
stepmom just
nutshell,
went through this shit.
yeah. So basically, you have people, you know what I'm saying, and what we experienced with this pandemic should have awakened a lot of people up. But there are biases in healthcare to where, like, for example, when it comes to black women experiencing pain, they will not recommend giving black women certain treatments or certain medicines or whatever, because in their mind they think that, oh, they can take the pain. Oh, don't worry about it, they'll be all right.
Man, check this out.
So
Yesterday,
hold on.
all right,
So
all right.
so when you have somebody like Doc Phoenix, let's be clear when we talk about institution building. A hospital, a clinic is an institution. So who would you rather, as a black person, who would you rather have administering your healthcare needs? The white people that y'all complain about so much, or somebody like Doc Phoenix, along with Shonda, salute to Shonda, um, healthcare practitioners and providers who will be much more sensitive to you as a black person because they're of you. So they're going to give you what they're going to give you the best treatment that they feel you should get, instead of somebody making a decision based on how strong they think you are and not giving you the best treatment that they can give you and messing up your life. Go ahead, MOC.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I was in Kingdom City, Missouri yesterday, and I met two lovely female travel nurses. These women were 19 and 18 years old, making more money than anyone that they've ever known inside their family.
Mm,
And I was talking with them. We was in line at Subway, and I was talking to them about, wait a minute, because they were like, they're in the vehicle, and they had their own money and all this kind of other stuff. I'm like, how did y'all even decide to even get into this? And I'm like, okay, so what was the family structure? They was like, look, the workforce center, we was one of them was working as a cashier at a grocery store, and another one was working at a barista at Starbucks. As soon as they had the chance and opportunity to get the skills and abilities to move forward, their own family was trying to hold them back. Hell, their own family was trying to relieve them of all the funds that they were actually making, and that's why they were arguing on the phone with family members. I'm like, hold on a second, what's going on here?
mm-hmm,
They was like, well, we did this and we did that. I'm like, you ain't got nothing to be embarrassed about. I'm like, look, you're on the road, you're traveling, and you're making more money, and you're in the top 1% as an 18 and 19-year-old.
mm-hmm,
Don't worry about these people. The moment you can walk away from these people, you will be great. You already have your own money. You don't have any kids. You have a great life ahead of you. The only thing you have to do is
mm-hmm,
maintain and keep working and keep moving up that ladder.
mm-hmm,
And they was like, well, you're kind of the only person that's saying that, because everybody else I talk to is telling me that I have to help all of these people now that I have my own stuff together. And I'm like,
mm-hmm.
holy shit, these are 18 and 19-year-old people
Look at what they
going through
doing,
this.
man. Look what they doing to these babies, man.
And it's like, I'm the only person that they run across who just like, hey man, leave those people alone to keep doing what you're doing. And I was like, but my whole reality, everybody, because they have like these emotional seeds that they plant in people, and that
Mm-hmm,
they hatch them as actual weapons against these people the moment
mm-hmm,
they try to leave, or the moment that they see that they're getting their stuff together.
mm-hmm,
And they were like, it was almost better that they were actually working as a barista and at a grocery store.
mm-hmm,
Everybody was so happy with them and everything was great. But the moment they got to the money, I'm like, look, it's not that you got to the money, it's that you told them what you were doing and how much you were making.
yeah, exactly.
Now
Yep.
you're there to take care of their issues, and if not, they'll take their fake love away from you. And like, that's where we're at. And here's another thing with DJ Naff. What he's saying is 100% true with this super chat. If not that, these dudes define themselves via, a certain level of ladies' respect. When you take that away, these so-called men no longer have any meaning or identity in this space.
Yep.
That is correct. I am
Hmm.
here to invalidate your masculinity. I'm here to make you feel like you're the lowest person on the planet if this is what your masculinity is actually based on. I'm going to continue to keep talking about the productive piece and not defining yourself through the same women that you end up complaining about as soon as you actually are done with her. This is
Hmm.
an actual cycle that they're in. I'm not in this
Hmm.
cycle at all. And they want to weigh down the space with the collective failure of most
Exactly.
of these people. That has nothing to do with me.
That is nothing. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Correct. And here's the thing. If I'm putting pressure on them, what about the dudes who can actually be reached and actually can separate from this stuff and move on to the productivity piece and actually get accomplishments and not share their money with the wrong type of women
Well,
and men? Because it's just not the women, it's
Not
these
just the women.
sorry ass dudes who
Hmm.
actually want to live off of those women too and these men. So I'm trying to put you both out of business, to be quite honest with
yeah,
you.
this is. I've always said, man, this is number one. This is kind of like gonna be an attrition based thing, and it was gonna be more than anything a battle of thoughts and ideals. So this is a long game type of thing, right? This is a long game type of thing. Um, but what happens is that over time, when you have things that are archived and you can dig back and reference and then provide it as evidence to people, what happens here is that more people get enlightened to what the actual facts and what the actual truths are, right? So that's what I mean. Sometimes we have to do these 3.0 refresher live streams, right? We haven't done one in a while, but here we go. We're doing it right now. And, you know, people are like, wow, I did not know that. I did not know this. And it's like, yeah.
Yeah, and the problem is that we can have so much of this stuff that we claim to complain about if we just got our stuff together as men. Like you're not supposed to get submission and all that shit before actual productivity. You can get all that stuff on your way, but the way this system is set up, you can't expect to be rewarded for failure. But that's what they want because failure was the end goal in the first place, was to
Well,
sit
well, here's
there.
the, well, I was
Yeah.
going to say, MOT, here's the thing, right? Ryle contextualized this in a few Sapio live streams that we've done. Okay. And it really has more to do with etymology and the understanding of the word submission. Yeah. A woman ain't going to submit to a dude who ain't got no mission. Like, like, like that's just kind of, or if she does, she's not necessarily the woman for you, if you catch my drift, right? But the
Yeah.
word submission in and of itself, and I don't even want to get into all that shit because leave it up to those guys to sort that shit out, right? I've been the one that's been happily married, that had a woman who did that
Hmm.
submission thing that everybody wants to spend hours upon hours talking about, and it was never a fucking conversation. That's the reason why
Hmm.
for me it's like actually it's a topic that kind of irks me a little bit because I'm like, wow, this actually has to be explained.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
Really?
they just want to spread the actual gospel of actual victimhood and
That's
under bitch
exactly
ass
what it
niggas.
is.
That's the only one thing they want to do. They can't offer anything to society, so they want to destroy the entire society. And when things start over, they're going to have this mythical, magical place among people. It is ridiculous. It is sad, and it is outright pathetic.
They're no different than the females who got on daytime TV for 40, 50 years, deriding black men. The very now we don't know because we don't know the situation. So let's say half of those dudes were just the worst type of dudes, but these type of females wanted to deal with those particular guys. They had no family structure that vetted these men for them, and so they were just on some wild wild west when it came to their vagina. Now these same dudes are the same way because they're sitting there, they're sitting there complaining, and they're worse because they have more of an opportunity to choose something different than the females do. I said this before, man. I said, you know, black men are the most free that we have ever been in this country since
I'm telling you.
post-slavery, when we were allowed to run for office before the KKK came into existence and was shutting a lot of that stuff down. Um, we have opportunities. We have the science and technology at our fingertips. We have the business environment at our fingertips. I was just looking up some stuff earlier on banking and some banking schools, and we have so many opportunities out here to really forge a different kind of path. And ever since I've been in this space, my strategy, my mindset has always been exodus, forming a new type of group,
Yes.
not trying to save the ones who have shown that they never going to change. Because, like I said before, we do have black boys and black girls who do know how to read, who do take school seriously, who make straight A's. Some of them are homeschooled by black parents. And um, when it's time for them to want to become a physicist, astrophysicist, we want to be able to have scholarship money for them so they can make those connections and those internships. The black dude who created the Scholarly app for scholarships, who Damon John on Shark Tank with linked with on the show. This dude is worth millions of dollars. A younger black man came on the show with an elder black man who started FUBU back in the day, and he mentored him and showed him how to get to the bag. So when they say, well, black men don't want to help each other, you're talking about yourself. Because when it comes to men like us, every time the only thing that we it's sad that the only criticism of us is that we share information with black men to help them do better in life. That's the only criticism. That's the only criticism. Like how can that be a criticism of you as a black man when black people are notorious for saying black people are crabs in the bucket, they don't want to get you, they don't want to see you get ahead. But when black men share information to help black men in this particular type of space get ahead, the ones who don't have any plan, any course of action to get ahead are the main ones rejecting it. It's because many, like the book I had recommended, referenced in on the masculinity stream. There are males who fear women, but they also fear real men, and that's really what the issue is.
That's it.
I mean, because actual men is actually a threat to their business model. That's what it is. I mean, like they want to spread this gospel to the point to where they don't want to see these people, and I don't care about the lack of popularity, dude. I can log into my bank account. That's all the popularity that I need right there. Them, them decimal points. What would you rather have? Decimal points or the actual
Oh,
sublimation of people that you're never even going to meet? It's just
oh,
that they just want to be so irresponsible. It is ridiculous.
uh-huh.
Most of these people are ridiculous. You know damn well if you had these people, that's what I'm saying, Ronan. Commas and decimals. That's the only thing I care about. And it's like you could get like dude, this stuff is far within reach for everyone. It's just that a lot of these kids give up on life and start doing these older individuals bidding because they don't see a future for them. Dude, the future is well in hand for these people if they're guided into it. But a lot of these people don't want these people to have those type of chances nor opportunities. If you see what these older people are online, everything is chasing the algorithm. Everything is being an
Uh-huh.
algorithm simp. Everything is doing this dumbass stuff. Oh, I'm a business person. You have to respect me. Bro, I don't have to respect anyone, especially somebody who's deliberately destroying the environment that I'm trying to rebuild. But we all supposed to have this fake ass love between each other. Like, nah, man, I'm not with that. So,
No,
Oh,
absolutely not.
me neither, man.
No, no. Um, we have, you know, um, there was a brother, man, that I was, I connected with on Roger's panel a few years ago, and he ultimately, took himself out a few years ago. And to this very day, because he loved me. He used to love when I would come up when I first started coming up on the panel. We would talk sometimes in the back chat. He would leave messages and stuff like that. He would always talk about how he loved when I would come up and speak. And it's been about 3 years, I think, at this point, 3 years now. And I always wonder if there was something else I could have said that could have helped him, you know. And his wife had reached out to Tia Son Johnson and let him know what happened. And some of his frustrations was dealing with, finances and things like that, and being, um, not feeling like he was in the best position in terms of, doing for his family and stuff like that. And rest in peace to him. As far as I'm concerned, he was out there doing the best he could. And I just reflect on his passing sometimes, because what if he would have heard a different take on certain things that could have whipped him around in a different way? What if he would have got, because I don't know how, if he was ever privy to any of the Brain Trust content, but what if he would have saw a show that could have sparked him to, because I think he was a tradesman, that could have showed him, oh, I could add this with what I already got, and then took him to another stratosphere to where he didn't feel like he was at that point in his life. I always reflect on that particular situation, because a lot of black men, a lot of people don't realize, like from the last stats that I saw, from 15 to 24, the third leading cause of death for black men is self-deletion. And so when we have young black men at 15 to 24, at that particular age, that's a really pivotal age, because now you're an adult, but you really need to have some guidance. In previous times, you would be with you would be an apprentice under somebody learning a skill. Now you have that element out here. You just have to find the information, and that's what makes the Brain Trust so important. Many black men are intelligent and smart, and can gather the information. Jay Sean said this to me recently when we were talking. Shout out to him if he's listening. He said, I've been around a lot of groups of people in the world. He said, I'm gonna tell you, like, most of these dudes are not smarter than us as black men. He said, but the one advantage that they have over us, he said, is that they're willing to work together. He said that's what separates them from us. He said, I can get money on my own. He said, but if I want power and influence, he said, I gotta work with my brothers. And this is the fundamental thing that these dudes don't understand. They don't understand that the very thing that you're complaining about, because ultimately what they're complaining about, even when it comes to the females, is that they lack power. Well, the very thing that you need to do to get power, you refuse to do it. If you're not going to do the things that men do, that they have always historically done to get power and influence, which is get some money, then your complaints don't mean anything, because your money is going to be your buttress in these types of environments. This is why people fight so hard to get to America. Why y'all think people fight so hard to get to America? Because in their countries, they don't have the same opportunities. So they know if they can get to America, get in a certain environment amongst their own people, they can thrive, stack money, send money back home, start businesses in their own country, so their families can be freer from the government apparatus than they are when they're poor. Like, it's the complete opposite in our group. You got a whole bunch of people who rather be attached to the government apparatus When a lot of these other people in these other countries, they're trying to be free from that. They're trying to be free from that by starting their own businesses, so they have a little bit more power and influence in their own countries. It's completely backwards.
Correct. And I mean, what I came to this space to do is, whenever it did fall apart, is to let you know that they're trying to redo the 70s. Everything's on popularity. Everything is BS. Everybody wants to be this so-called quote unquote unscrupulous businessman based off of these issues, and they want to keep these issues going forever. Like, dude, listen, man, these younger people are getting to the money, and once they do, they are being weighed down by ain't shit adults. And not only that, but you have to keep the gynocracy in mind before you produce.
Look at that
That
comment.
bullshit too, Edson.
Look at that comment.
What
Look
is
at that
it?
shit.
What is
Look at
it?
that comment.
Heard guys in the space saying gynocracy will stop you from being successful. No, that was when BGS told
Someone
me.
told you
Yeah,
that
yeah, no, it's BGS.
feminism is stopping you from your micromobility
Yeah,
transport
yeah,
business.
that's gonna stop me.
What?
Yeah, yeah, yep. It hasn't stopped me yet, but yeah, that was master teacher talking.
And here's another thing. That 9-year-old kid that graduated high school at 9 years old in
Just he
Pennsylvania.
wait. Just he wait.
Yeah.
Just
Say his
he
name,
wait.
BGS. I don't think the gynocracy stopped that dude from graduating high school, man.
Well,
I really
well,
don't
there you
think.
go. College is
Elders.
another is another that's another conversation right there.
Elders.
This
Elders don't
what is
instill
this
fear in you.
9-year-old gonna have for all these woke chicks? No, I'm fucking around.
No, elders don't instill fear in you like that. Like how are we younger dudes teaching men sometimes older than us, sometimes younger than us, to have self-esteem and confidence? Like who better to show y'all than the ones who are in the game? And let me I have to really reiterate this point, and this is nothing against like white people, because I respect any men who are on task and on their shit. I don't care if they're Indian, white, I don't Japanese. If they're moving in a masculine frame, I have respect for them. I don't even care if they're racist. I don't care. The reality of the situation is this is what sucks the most. We're in business here. And the one thing that you will know if you spend enough time in business, for all the people who love to call white people supreme, the one thing that you will find out that is the funniest is that there is a whole bunch of white people in business who are incompetent. A whole
Like a
bunch.
motherfucker.
I'm telling you. I've been telling Complex about this potential contract we have on deck, just to share some information with y'all. This particular company that we're in talks with has a contract with a vendor that's in India. And y'all know how much they paying these goddamn Indians a month for this damn contract? $1 million a month. And the Indians they're not performing the contract competently. That's why they're talking to us. You got people that's in foreign countries getting contracts over us when we live in this country, and we should be getting those contracts ourselves because we should be plugged in into the system in the right way from a business standpoint, so we get that money. So y'all are allowing foreign people who are incompetent, and they're still getting $1 million a month.
Because the black woman is the problem.
That's right.
Y'all do not understand that the thing that if you kind of teetering on confidence, get in business, and once you see you don't have to see a lot. You see a few white people who are incompetent, boy, that give you the most confidence you ever have in your life. Because you be like, man, what is going on here? How the hell are these people up here? And then you realize that the reason why these people are getting money is by default. It's like a high school game. If one team shows up to the game and
I was
another
about to say,
team
if
doesn't
one
show
team
up,
don't show up,
you get a win by default. A lot of these people are winning this game because they're showing up to the game while y'all are not showing up to the game. Y'all are seeding money to people We have shown in this country we have just as much as any capability as any group of people to come up with inventions, ideas, you name it. We have to be in the game. This should not be the anomaly of Black people. This should be the norm of Black people. Because before slavery, we were business people. We built all type of shit, all type of empires, all types of institutions to get money. So this is not abnormal for us. What's abnormal is to not move with your family, moves amongst your own to get money together. That's abnormal. Not moving with each other.
Most of the brokers that I use that pay me the most, all Black women, nearly 100%. If I to use a dominant society person, they try to pay me 50 to 75% to move the same load from the same business.
Mm,
So
mm.
what's the deal there? So it's like I don't have the same complaints that these dudes do. I just move to people that I can actually operate with. We have a level of understanding and we just move. Not hard.
Well,
But when you have a bunch of people who just want to sit here and sulk and actually drown in their own pain, that's that's currently where we at. But we have to get this message out to. There's a lot of parents that out there that are in these small ass towns who don't understand. They could connect a child to the productivity piece with the same smartphone or tablet that they have. You ain't got to go all the way out to college and all this type of stuff. It's a socialization piece. You got to change the mind state of these actual people by letting
right.
them know exactly the things that can happen and rather quickly.
Yeah.
But just sitting here being on this nonsense, it ain't gonna work, man. So you got any last words before you get out here, Ryo?
Um, salute to the Black Brain Trust. Um, one of the few channels that truly has had the interests of Black men and the Black manosphere, who has never deviated from that particular mission. Um, these are men who have displayed honor and integrity, have never stolen from anybody, who have never connived and tricked anybody out of any money, who have never sold any men in the space out for access to the very horrible women that these dudes complain about. Um, myself, I was very ignorant at a certain point to the hate that that the Black Brain Trust has incurred in the space. It's only within the last year and a half that I've been privy to it, and to be honest with you, it's the most disgusting shit I've ever seen in my life. And I will always defend the Black Brain Trust, the mission of it, the reason why it was formed, against the very types of males, because I don't call them men, the very types of males who are the antithesis of what the Black Brain Trust was developed for and still stands for to this day. And I defy anybody to come out here and say any of these men have not lived up to the mission of what the Black Brain Trust was set up for. And I will always call these the men in this space, in terms of the Black Brain Trust, as brothers, because they move in the way that serious-minded Black men need to move, not just for the sake of us, but those that we put up under our umbrella as what we deem as family and community. Just because you're Black does not mean you belong to the community that we set up. Just because you're Black, you have to have a certain mindset, a certain way of thinking, moving forward. And if you want to be of the types of Black people who think Freaknik is still alive and well and runs 24 hours a day instead of building institutions, then have at it. But when you're outside of that ark drowning in the water, don't ask us to give you a lifeline, because we're not going to do it. And I'll leave it there.
All right, $5 super chat from DJ Nav. I lost so many friends and women since I came across the space. I wouldn't change it for nothing though. Just made me better. Yeah, like
No.
no, he lives in the metro area, where I live at. So
Mm,
it's like Once you start getting these problematic people out of your life, dude, you can really live life really freely without trying to balance, have this balancing act of all these reptiles around you, man. It's a better life. It's a way better life. Thanks for the follow super chat, dude. Complex.
Yo,
Bring it home for
all right,
us.
man. Hey, man, I appreciate it. Once again, sometimes we have to do a little refresher.
Yes.
Um, um, we're not going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? We're not going anywhere. There's plans that I have, when I say these are just in my head, right? Things that I would like to see happen for the brain trust, and these are things that are shared ideas, right? Amongst the brain trust, but there, what you see even right now, man, it's evolved up into what you see now, but that's not even like the zenith. It
The
really
full
isn't.
range.
Yeah, it's not. It's like, dude, this is a long-term thing, man, because business will ultimately back this shit. So as more capital is available from our business pursuits, we can focalize it on how we really want to do this. Okay, but what's most important, first and foremost, is that you guys get the goddamn information and you get it uncut, you get it synthesized, you get it based on our real world experiences, data, our analysis, and discussions, right, where we're kind of cross-referencing things so that we can vet the information and vet these ideas and make sure that we're not giving you guys any bullshit. And I just think it's just a travesty, man, when you'll have motherfuckers that'll freeze you out of shit, and I don't want to get into all the details of that, right? We're trying to close this out, but we'll get in the way of that shit. You know, I personally, I put a lot of time and energy into this, just personally, right? Um, I could have been doing other things, man. Maybe I could have gave a few extra hours of attention to my daughter or something, right? So when I add up, cumulative hours that I've personally put it on the brain trust. I take the shit ultra serious. So I don't take kindly to motherfuckers trying to, like, you know, poach and steal concepts and ideas and shit. Motherfucker, come up with a goddamn an original thought, right? And bring some goddamn value to the space. Make sure when people walk away from your live streams, they can actually do something. You got some actionable items where people can actually do some shit, not just a feel good, like, oh, boilers in there. I want to feel good. Go watch a fucking kitten and baby video. That's all I got, man. I'm done.
Yeah, man. 7 million views, man. Just waiting on you, man. But I'm just saying this. The historic misrepresentation of the manosphere is meant to remove productive men. Productive men who wanted, like, it was the sorry ass fools who made deals with women that they knew they wasn't supposed to make deals with. All right. We got to have a better outcome here. I don't think complaining about the women is going to be able to help in this format. You know what to stay away from. But a lot of people think that I am owed access to this broken woman because I'm doing better than her. So she should be dependent on me now. It's like, dude, you can't create a false chemical dependency. At the end of the day, you're still damaging yourself. So you have to understand, once you get your stuff together, the fig leaf falls off. You bite from the tree of knowledge. You can live a better and productive life. Listen, I chopped cotton in my lifetime and I'm in my 40s. I don't want that for my kids. I want it to be an academic experience teaching him or her about how my grandparents were sharecroppers and how I left the Mississippi Delta and I became the best version that everybody else have access to right now. Everybody have access to. So with that said, I want to thank
Hold
you
on,
guys for coming.
MLT.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Before you go,
Yeah.
I almost forgot that because I wanted to bring this up earlier. I talked to Complex about this. An African woman that I'm courting for marriage. Her father passed years ago. Rest in peace to him. This woman said that her father said, her African father said to her years ago when he used to have her on his lap talking to her about Black American men. And you know what he said about us? He said that we're stronger than African men. He said that he wanted her not to marry a man from where she's from, but to marry a Black man from America. He said because Black American men have truly faced the beast. Okay? This is how her father viewed us. And she said, she's like, man, y'all are just so strong. And y'all have really, from a historical standpoint, have really, really stood up. And she said her father was like, many of us African men are getting weak. And he said to her, don't marry one of these dudes. Get you a Black American man. He was speaking about the truly masculine men, though. He wasn't talking about everybody. But just to show y'all men how this particular man was viewing Black American men, how they were viewing us. Because make no mistake about it, the true people who claim that they're pro-Black, who have been studying a lot of this stuff and the Pan-African and stuff, many of them know that many Africans looked upon us in terms of being the ones to help change things. Many of them looked at us as being the ones who were going to be at the forefront of changing a lot of things. And when you look back at things like apartheid and stuff like that, it was a lot of Black Americans who were really against and put pressure on the government to put pressure on American government to end their business relationships with the apartheid regime in South Africa and places like that. So a lot of these people know the contributions that we have given them from an American perspective to help them get free of some of the yokes that they have been under as well. So we have a historical legacy as Black men that we will be fools and our ancestors will look down upon us that if we don't hold the mantle of that, when especially the people in the diaspora are looking at us to lead, especially in this new century. So stop walking around with your heads held down low like you don't have anything, like you don't have a legacy, because you do, because a lot of other people look at you as having one in the diaspora and globally.
All right, cool, man. It's just that it's a choice. It's a live life choice based experience. You, especially, you don't have to live like these older individuals who are trying to socialize failure as normal. They're trying to mainstream Black failure. They're trying to mainstream Black male failure. That should piss off every single person who's here. I don't give a damn how popular it makes me. I'm not gonna come online and talk about simple gossip and goofy shit to make a couple of people happy. I'm not doing any of those things, man. So with that said, there's no need to misrepresent the history of the Manosphere. The history that he acknowledges is the history that he can leverage for his own benefit. Like I said, he could bully and push around whoever he wants to, but when it comes to productive men,
No,
we are unbought.
just know we got receipts, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
man,
know,
bro.
we still holding on to receipts. So play that game if you want.
Yeah,
Because
man,
I
and
didn't even play any clips tonight. We just chopped it up. See, I could have really went there, but
Ooh,
you know what? I could have really ethered some niggas tonight. But you know what? We just went ahead and just had a chop up. But yo, I'm gonna go ahead and grab some of these cookies with my little one, man, and we're gonna go ahead and just we're gonna crash out for the night. She out of
all
school
right,
tomorrow.
cool,
We're gonna kick it tonight.
nice. All right, I want to thank everybody for coming through. Make sure you like the video upon leaving, and you guys have a really nice rest of y'all stuff. I got some things coming down the pike where we're gonna be separating from these unproductive people and taking this thing truly to the next level. So I'm gonna thank you guys for coming through. I'm the man tomorrow. You guys have a really nice day. Peace.
All right, y'all. Peace.
peace.